Yeah, it's like now that I got everybody's attention, it's about time for me to tell my story. You feel what I'm saying? So now, before I was Ronnie Williams, inmate number 1204147, I was Red. You know, I moved to Hampton, Virginia when I was 10 years old. Around that time, I committed my first armed robbery with, no, my fault, strong arm robbery with my brother, rest in peace, Jason Reeves, right? So fast forward, I ain't gonna get too much into the childhood. You can read a book for that type of shit. But fast forward, 15, right? I'm playing sports, coming back and forth from Newark, New Jersey to Hampton, Virginia. And that time, that's when I became fully active. So around that time, my hood, Old Town, which is Harbor Square Apartments, that's where we were trapping at. I got my first sack from my brother Jay Reed. Gave me a sack and he gave me a pistol. In the midst of us going to war, we had a little situation. We would pretty much shootouts like every night. I've been fully active since I was 15. So now I turned 16. This when all hell break loose. So everything was cool till I turned 16. When I turned 16, that's when I committed my first armed robbery. After I committed my first armed robbery, I started going on a rampage. I started robbing all the drug dealers around my hood, barefaced, no mask. Letting them know who did it, and letting them know what the count was. So I did that. I did that all the way till I got locked up, seriously. So I was locked up when I was 21. But anyway, when I was 16, I was robbing all the dope boys in my neighborhood. And the ones that were around me, if they showed any kind of sign of weakness, I was taking their guns. I was bucking on their guns. Once it's in my hand, it's mine. That's over with. You dead on that. So when I turned 16, that's when it really, really kicked in. I was on some real live bullshit. Now, fast forward 18, I get locked up for carjacking. I'm actually out on bond for 3 years before I went to prison on that charge, right? Now, in the midst of me getting released on bond, I moved to Charlotte, turned up. I went to Charlotte and had to leave because of my itchy trigger finger. Can't speak on what actions and what happened in Charlotte, but it happened. Now, I end up coming back to Virginia after Charlotte, and I turned up even more. Now, I'm talking about I was robbing everybody. Home invasions. We was taking niggas, kidnapping niggas, all type of shit. Me and my brother, rest in peace, Jay Reed. Now, I didn't have a normal upbringing, which is like, oh, I got friends, I got my nigga that I consider my brother and all that other type of shit. All I had was Jay Reed. That was it. And he taught me the ins and outs on being a street nigga. So once I started to see a little bit of money, my first like 10 racks, you feel what I'm saying? Like that turned me up even more. Now I was on more diabolical type shit. Like everything around me has to work with me or for me, or you're pretty much against me. So I robbed a lot of people, especially in my city, in my neighborhood. I was known for that. I used to rob niggas for their chains and their jewelry, and I wear it in the club right around them. Just for the simple fact that they knew that my trigger finger is ridiculous. and I'm with all the bullshit. I first went on my first mission when I was 17. That's when we actually had to like lay on somebody and catch the drop and take them in the crib and yeah, all that stuff. Pretty much home invasion type shit. So now that's my young wildlife. I end up being locked up for the charge I was locked up, actually apprehended for when I was 18. I got locked up on that charge when I turned 21, 30 days after my 21st birthday. Mind you, it's crazy because before then, I got shot in the back, niggas trying to rob me. I had all these niggas. I never spent money on jewelry before I got locked up. Never did that. All the jewelry I had was off of licks. I had lick jewelry, whole bunch of it. So niggas trying to rob me for the lick jewelry, shit they don't get shit. I just end up getting shot in the back because I bucked. So right after that, 30 days, no, matter of fact, that happened 30 days before my 21st birthday. Now, my 21st birthday come, I can't even drink liquor because for the simple fact, when I got shot in the back and I took that bullet, it missed my spine and went through my liver. The doctors were already, they was tripping like, we don't even know how you even made it through that because your blood alcohol level was so high. So, through the grace of God, I made it through that. Now, 30 days after that, I end up getting locked up for a carjacking charge. Now, when I got locked up for this carjacking charge, mind you, there was they had a gun, no fingerprints. The victim also said that I was just there, that I didn't commit the crime. I had somebody testifying on me saying that I did everything and I, just did the pistol work and everything, this and the third. And so the actual victim said I had nothing to do with it. So anyway, I took a jury trial and went to trial for that, and I got 15 years in prison. For 15 years, I ended up doing 13. Now, mind you, my whole 13 years in prison, I'm not going to go too deep into that. Like I said, you can read a book for all that. You feel what I'm saying? So anyway, I did 4 years on the level 4, which is King Mountain. That's where I learned everything. That's where I learned the game. That's where I learned life. Right? I did 4 years on King Mountain from the time I was 22 to 26. So in that time, I learned all the tricks of the trades behind being a real good criminal. In that time, I also started working out, get my body right, got my mind right, really got my shit together. So now, fast forward, we're going to go about 5-6 years before I came home. All right, before I came home, I established myself in the penitentiary as a certified boss, certified mover and shaker, certified. Like, I did time on Greensville Correctional Center. I turned Greensville the fuck up. And that's a fact. You ask shout out to all the COs that was there, because they showed me love. They never ran in my shit. They knew what I was doing. And they never ran in my shit. They kept it G. Everything was on the up and up there. But anyway, Greensville is 3 penitentiaries in one, right? So we got 3 different sides. I'm the genius that got kicked off for all 3 sides because they couldn't contain me and they couldn't figure out how I was getting all these drugs in. And I didn't go to visit. So you can already imagine that. So when I talk about COs and everything in my raps and everything like that, bringing the work in, I really lived that life. Cell phones in prisons, all that. I really lived that life. Now, to mind you, being that I'm originally from Jersey, they drugged me while I was in prison. Mind you, letting you know, like, since 21 all the way till I turned 34, coming home from prison, fully active, even afterwards. We about to get to that, though. So now I ended up on Greensville, and when I tell you I ran it up, ran it up. I actually started the record label Real Music off of dope money in prison. I started that off of hustling in prison. I hustled tobacco, hustled weed, everything else. We're just gonna keep it at that. So now it was so crazy where is that they stamped my record as being a staff manipulator because every female that they brought around me, they end up seeing the light through me and started getting themselves a bag. It's more to life than just working a job and trying to make ends meet and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get into all that stuff later, but I was real business oriented and I knew how to talk that talk to get them to see my point of view. So now, while at Greensville, I ran it up about $70,000. I started real cheap cars. I bought my mom's a car lot while I was in prison. That's deep. I bought my mom's a car lot while I was in prison. That's crazy. So I really, I did my thing because I actually learned business management and how to finesse corporations and how to get the funding and all that type of stuff. I learned that. I studied that for 3 years in prison under a white collar fraud motherfucking guru. This nigga was motherfucking ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to that nigga. So I learned a lot while I was in prison. I did a lot. You feel me? But in the midst of me being locked up and me becoming successful in prison behind the wall and doing what I need to do and also having the right mindset to put my money into something that's going to further me and my family and my generations, I lost my little brother and I lost Jay Reed. I lost Jay Reed 2014 in a car crash on New Year's Day. Now, mind you, I told you I committed my first strong arm robbery with this man. This is just my brother. I learned everything I know from him. So he dies in a car crash 2014. 2 years later, rest in peace, my little brother, Apollo Crook. He was an up-and-coming producer coming out of Virginia. Nigga beats was impeccable. There was a lot of hate around him. Long story short, they set my nigga up in the projects, little apartment complex in Newport News, and they shot him in the chest 7 times. And then they shot him in the back of the head also. And this my baby brother. Like, when I left the street, Antoine was only 15. So, you know, that hurt my soul. Now, his murder remains unsolved because we kept it that way. I called the shot from in prison for my family to stand down and let the streets be the streets and leave it alone. So even to this day, my brother's murder remains unsolved. Not gonna get into all that, but it shall remain unsolved. That's just a fact. So anyway, now all this happened in the midst of me coming home. So I just turned up. I kept my mind focused on this music and getting this bread right and furthering my business. My business is, right? So I come home. Gotta tell you this. So they kicked me off of Greensville, right? They give me a conspiracy charge to smuggle and distribute heroin. So I ended up catching a conspiracy charge 9 months before I came home, which was going to add an extra 7 years on my sentence, right? Right when I got found guilty of that charge and they was ready to push it to street court for me to get extra time, find me guilty in street court, get extra time. coronavirus hit. You got to take the good with the bad. So coronavirus hit. Now, mind you, it's kind of crazy because I lost one of my grandparents, my grandmother. I lost her right before I came home due to coronavirus. But the blessing in all of that was my charges on my conspiracy to distribute heroin and smuggle in heroin was pushed to the back burner because of everything that was going on with coronavirus. And being that I did not have a violent record while I was in prison, they released me early because I had less than a year and I wasn't considered a violent criminal, right? So I'm get released and I come home. I come home to my little cousin. This nigga is a motherfucking millionaire. We're not gonna speak on everything because at the end of the day, my family derives from the street and certain things be unsaid and it should be kept unsaid. So anyway, I come home, my little cousin he's the man, right? So I go to Cali and I meet OG Breeze. Now, OG Breeze was my brother, Jay Reed. That was his man. That was his best friend. And OG Breeze is the founder of Taylor Gang. Let me say that right. The founder of Taylor Gang. You got to say it right. So now, when I come home, no, mind you, 2-3 years before I came home, me and OG Breeze were we kept in contact, and he was giving me the games, the game, the ins and outs on what I need to do, how I need to approach the music industry and everything, because he liked my music, and he said, yo, listen, you just need to tell your story. So I said, cool. So when I come home to pretty much understanding that my moms, who I left all this money to and the businesses to, pretty much ran through and blew all of my money. Everything. I made over $100,000 in prison to come home to and set myself straight. So I wouldn't have to be in the streets anymore. I can just pursue the music. I was thinking on getting me a box truck and starting that up, getting that right. I had a car lot. I was going to come home, flip more cars, this, that, and third. So everything was shut down by the time I came home. So I come home, and that shit was devastating to see that I have no more money. So what I had to do is get back on the grind and get mine right. So what I did was, I got it right. Shout out to OG Breeze. Shout out to those guys. I had to really put it on the line. I had to really take those trips. I had to really put my shit together. My first time I got blessed, I came right back from the West with 20 P's, and I blessed my whole hood. Bless all the niggas that I fucked with, considered in my hood. So not only did I do that, I had dinner with Wiz Khalifa. We did Miami, Lamborghini trucks. I did all that. We did Club Live on a Sunday. OT Genesis popped out on that jump. That shit was crazy. We all in the section at the top, everything. Like, I really lived. I came home and I showed out. I've been in every color Lamborghini truck. Fucked them up. You know what I'm saying? Bentleys, all type of shit. So now I end up coming across my way on, came across my plug, which came through me, through my people. Still got to keep them. But if you can read between the lines, you know what is what. So anyway, like I told you, that's for a book. But so now I come home, I do all that. I have fun first. But I still know that my brother's murder is unsolved and there's people around. So I kind of like crashed out a little bit. I come home. First, I caught me a 745. I caught me the BMW 745. And then after that, I caught me the Audi Q7. It was an all-white truck. It was a Q7 Audi truck. Would you believe me if I told you I was riding around in the motherfucking Audi truck calling myself sliding looking for ops? When I came home, niggas knew what type of time I was on. Niggas knew who I was. Niggas knew the count with me. So nobody popped out. I was at every after hours. I was at all the clubs. I was everywhere. Nobody popped out. It got so crazy. I remember, man, I actually shed tears. I'm crying to my girl in the room on the bed because I'm like, yo, I just can't find these niggas. Like, niggas won't pop out. And, you know, I got to handle my business. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because that's who I am. Like, I grew up in this street shit. I'm a street nigga to the core. Like, I ain't no nigga that's just rapping a whole bunch of shit that he ain't never do. When I came home, I knew for sure I had to avenge my brother's honor. So I'm in every after hours, all that. That's where Bake started. Bake started in the after hours. Because I figured if people see me getting money in the after hours, they'll come through, niggas will pop out, try to get greasy, and I can send them. But you know how that shit be. Nobody popped out. Now, my people just told me to just chill and get to the music. Tell your story. Let people know what's going on. Like, really talk your shit, my nigga. Stick to the music. So I made a decision to do that. And that's why I'm here right now. This is Ron Mexico. This is just a little part of the story. I ain't want to hold y'all too long. But, yeah, man. I had to make that change for me, myself, and my family. Nothing to never bring Twan back. That was my little brother. Love him to death. Till we see each other on the other side. Same thing to Jay Reed. But that's just a little bit of the story. I just check in. You might hear more. It gets deep. Shit is real deep.